Mario Odyssey is the Switch game we've been waiting for. Technically, it pushes the boat out more than any before it. The template for Mario Galaxy's full 3D exploration is still in place, and in many ways it feels like a direct successor to those two Wii classics. But it goes one step further. Odyssey expands on Galaxy's core mechanics with more exotic, wilder stages that could simply only be realised on more powerful hardware. Already, we've seen a more realistic New York environment from its E3 2017 reveal, but today we get a chance to analyse 3 new levels: the Cappy Kingdom, Luncheon Kingdom, and the Seaside Kingdom, with some exciting findings. The headline point is this: Mario Odyssey's resolution has increased in Switch's docked mode since we last saw it. On the big screen, it goes from the disappointing 1280 by 720 output of the E3 build to a more satisfying 1600 by 900 in the preview event I attended. It's only been a few months in between, but this represents an impressive 1.56 times increase in pixels pushed by the Nintendo Switch. The result is, of course, far more flattering for the home playing experience on TV, and even without any anti-aliasing to speak of, the game looks superb. It breaks some ground too. At 900p, it's the highest resolution 3D Mario title to date, and crucially, that doesn't infringe on its commitment to hitting 60 FPS. Now, this follows a curious trend with other Nintendo Switch titles in the run-up to release. If you remember, Splatoon 2 also at first ran at 720p while docked, before getting a boost to a higher dynamic resolution later on. And it makes sense. 720p is the resolution it uses while in portable mode, the area most in need of tight optimization. Clearly, this is part of Nintendo's optimization process then, using the handheld mode 720p as a starting point in development, and working upwards for the docked TV experience nearer release. In Mario Odyssey's case, getting 900p at release would be a decent turnout. With that, you get all the bells and whistles while docked, and it's hard to pick too much fault with the engine's delivery. Parallels with Mario Galaxy are hard to ignore too. On the beautiful Seaside Kingdom stage, the open-ended design harks back to Mario Galaxy's more free-form levels, a watery playground with quite literal depths to exploration, sporting beautiful shaders for its lava and water. Sure, pop-in on enemies and objects is in full view on Switch, even docked, but that pop-in is far-flung enough that it isn't a big distraction. Even with the new Cappy mechanic, the freedom and multiple objectives make this feel like Mario Galaxy 3. So that's a fixed 900p while docked, but what about Mario Odyssey on the go as a portable experience? Well, this is where it gets interesting. To match Switch's 720p display, actual gameplay runs at a native 1280 by 720. However, in-engine cutscenes slice that resolution to exactly half, to 640 by 720, leaving Switch's GPU bandwidth to contend with only 50% of the pixels. Now, following Nintendo's guidelines, we can't show these scenes and the emphasis is on gameplay, but it is an interesting workaround in order to keep every aspect of the game running at 60 FPS. Again, in the interest of performance, visuals are tweaked in 3 ways, but it's ultimately hard to spot on the smaller screen. So firstly, and besides a drop to 720p for gameplay, there's actually a lower res lighting buffer used in portable mode, causing more stippling artifacts around the Cappy Kingdom stage. Take the Cappy sidekick as an example. The bloom around him shows vertical bands in Switch's portable mode, which is cleared up for docked play. Added to that, bloom is restricted by a more aggressive level of detail setting than while playing docked, which means no bloom is rendered on lamplights this far away while in portable mode. The second trade-off for portable play is also well considered. On the bright Seaside Kingdom stage, shadows take a hit in resolution while playing on the go. Essentially, it causes blurrier, more alias shadowing across the floor, but again, it's a fair compromise given the way docked mode operates. Played under a TV while docked, Mario's self-shadow usually runs at a crisp, high-resolution setting, while enemies and objects use a slightly lower setting. In portable mode though, all shadows take a hit in quality across the board, from Mario to the creatures walking the beaches. The third and final graphic setting to take a hit is draw distance. It's a subtle change honestly, and largely masked by the Switch's resolution drop to 720p, but objects use a lower polygon mesh towards the distance. For this circular structure across the Seaside Kingdom for example, that means we're missing the barriers around the edge, which do render in properly at range in docked mode. Of course, that extra detail does come into view once you get closer to it. Ultimately, this is far from a deal breaker though, and you're more at the mercy of the drop to 720p when viewing things far away. Still, pruning back geometry detail, shadow resolution, and lighting quality does give Switch some overhead in targeting 60 FPS while on the go. Not to say the performance is lacking for portable or in the full fat docked mode shown here. So here's framerate analysis of docked mode. Everything from the volumetric fog effect in the Cappy Kingdom to the Splatoon style ink shaders used for the Luncheon Kingdom run without a hitch. The mainline Mario series lives and dies by its 60 FPS feedback to the screen, and in this preview build, Switch gets away with a near faultless delivery. Now, there are outliers to that result. You can expect one-off stutters around the open area levels just as tutorial prompts pop up. But the question is, are you really going to notice without the help of this graph? Well, the answer is not really, and it's to Nintendo's credit that optimization is this strong at 900p and 60 FPS already. There's more to come in terms of analysing Mario Odyssey's portable mode with our tools and the cutscenes which can't be shown here. The turnout so far though is absolutely where it needs to be for docked play, and it follows the template used for Mario Galaxy to a T. The controls feel really tight and responsive in the hand thanks to the fast level of response, and anything less than 60 FPS in a 3D Mario game would feel odd. And as it happens, there's a way to prove that right now. As a fun extra, Mario Odyssey includes a new Snapshot Mode, letting you freeze the action and freely move the camera around Mario. What's unique here is that the snapshot view runs at 30 FPS, creating a sense of judder you just don't expect from a Mario game. It's a sign of just how stark the difference is, and how much you miss a pure 60 FPS feed once it's stripped away. For the sake of Snapshot Mode, it works, but sticks out like a sore thumb compared to regular gameplay. So why lock at 30 FPS for this mode? Well, there isn't an abundance of visual changes to explain that, but one did crop up. Check this out, look to the mountains on the Seaside Kingdom and it's clear the level of detail setting is pushed out for the rocks far away. You see the mountains pop in at full detail even at range, something you can do in real time by switching the snapshot mode on and off. In other words, it's a higher geometry setting just for show, and there's even signs of improvements to anti-aliasing and texture filtering in this mode too. Every Nintendo console is defined by a leading Mario title. On Switch, Mario Odyssey is set to experiment with 3D space more than any game in the series before it, and Nintendo expands on its visual flair in some exciting ways. The world scale, lighting, and use of volumetrics immediately stand out on the tutorial level. It's a game that feels built for Switch hardware, rather than necessarily a port or conversion of an existing Wii U project. And that makes it feel a bit more special and like an event. Mario Odyssey gives Nintendo a chance to show off what its new console can do, and the progress we're seeing between each build is a great reason to be excited for the final release. Okay, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this early look at Mario Odyssey and our Switch coverage in general, do give me a sign with a like or subscribe. As ever, there's also a high quality version of this video file at digitalfoundry.net, so feel free to check that out. But until next time, thanks for watching.
What?